Let's look at what's damaging the NBA product. That was so bad. Let's watch it one more time. So Jalen Brunson makes a good offensive move. He shakes the defender. As he goes by the defender starts to close in, at which point Jalen Brunson notices this and starts to veer sideways into the defender. So this is a completely unnatural path. The basket is right in front of him, but he is veering sideways into the defender and he is attempting to draw contact. So the only contact he really gets is throwing his elbow into the defender Andrew Nembhard's jersey, and then after this, he falls down and he gets the foul call. So this is problematic for multiple reasons. Let's just start with the fact that this play needed to be challenged. So now we had to stop the game, and the referees have to go and play the replays for 1 to 2 minutes. But then we also have the fact that Jalen Brunson's not able to score on his own accord. He needs to manipulate the officials to get these free throws, which in turn, it's not just about this play. It makes Jalen Brunson especially difficult to guard because you know that he's constantly looking to draw the foul, to create contact, and then get that foul call. So as a defender, you now have to defend him differently, which makes him better. This is changing the game and quite dramatically. And it's been this way for many years. And it still surprises me that the NBA goes along with this. I'm surprised in one sense, but not in another. So this could be as simple as let's protect the stars and make the stars into keep them as stars, right? We preserve them by allowing them to manipulate the officiating. But this should be the opposite stance. Jalen Brunson should not only get a technical foul, but he should also be fined and potentially even suspended if this is a pattern. We need players to actually get fouled. If they get fouled, then they get free throws. If they are quote unquote drawing fouls, then they get penalized. And that's what needs to happen so that the game plays out naturally and that players are able to rise to the top with their own ability and not their ability to manipulate the officials into calling fouls. So this one was especially bad, and that's why as soon as I saw this, I was like, okay, there needs to be a video on this, and this was coming anyway. But this one was really bad, and it made me think of a few days ago where we had the Spurs playing the Thunder in the NBA Cup, and let's just play the clip. So here you have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, a repeat offender when it comes to drawing fouls, and he goes up, takes a stop, goes up for the jump shot, and then when he comes down, he kicks his legs out, and the referees obviously are paying attention to the landing spots. But Dylan Harper doesn't really get in his landing spot. What happens is that Shea kicks out his legs so that it appears as such. So we'll see this better from a different angle. So here we have Shea going up, and it looks like a regular jumper. But watch what happens as his legs go out. So he takes an unnatural motion here, and this unnatural motion makes it look like Dylan Harper is in his space when he's really not. So Dylan Harper is tiptoeing and trying to keep out of Shea's landing area, but what Shea does is he kicks his leg out so far that it touches Dylan's shoe. So he's going to land on Dylan's shoe as he comes down. But look at how Shea's body is contorted. Look at where his legs are slanted. This is not a normal jump shot. If we took a video of Shea shooting practice jump shots in the gym, his legs are never going to be positioned this way, this close to the ground. What's happening here is he's drawing a foul. And if we listen to Stan Van Gundy, there's even the discussion that this could be potentially a flagrant on Dylan Harper. This is not only is this not a flagrant, this is not a foul, and this should be where Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is penalized for attempting to manipulate the referees. So look here. He's not coming straight down. He's landed on his shoes because he stuck his legs out so far. He's I mean at this point he's probably at a I don't know 40-degree angle, but this is not a natural motion. And the NBA has talked about taking action on this, where offensive players are just trying to draw fouls and moving in unnatural motions and taking unnatural paths. But clearly, this is still going on, and so Shea, of course, is another beneficiary. Here we have a star, but how much of a star would he be if the referees weren't here to help him out? this shouldn't be a foul call. And now it makes him more difficult to guard. Now we see Dylan Harper is going to have to be extra careful because Shai's going to do something like throwing out his legs or moving his arm or moving his elbow to touch Shai, and then he falls down in the opposite direction. And the NBA is seemingly okay with this. This has been the case for years, and we see players just keep coming up with the different ways to contort their bodies and make it appear as though they are fouled. If this is the case, especially if a player is notorious for this, like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, why do the referees continually go for this? The game would be so much better if it's just, if there's minimal contact, we play on. If the defender actually fouls you, then yes. But if you appear in any way to be taking an unnatural path or making an unnatural motion, then you don't get the foul. And in fact, you get a technical foul because you're trying to trick us. That's what it should be. But this happens over and over again. And you just see people across the board hate this. Nobody is in favor of these players getting bailed out with these calls, especially players who should be skilled enough based on their reputation to get their own points. We don't want to see them get points this way. And yet this is what's happening. And there are some players that play like this and others who don't. And so it makes it especially uneven, and it gives these players an advantage they should not have. And of course, you can look on YouTube and just find clip after clip after clip of this. It needs to stop. If you think about how could the NBA improve overnight, it would be to eliminate this. You eliminate this, and the game just goes levels above where it currently is. But as it stands, you have plays like this. We have reviews, and then the reviews need to get. We need to go through this ridiculous review system where the referees are going to take time out. They're going to look at 10, 15 different replays and see what is very obvious is that the players are manipulating the calls. And what's, I think, even worse is that sometimes when they watch the replay, they'll still go with the foul call, even though the player is obviously abusing the refereeing, obviously abusing the system. They still go along with it because it'll be something like, well, there was contact here, and it should be, if there's minimal contact, just let the play goes on. And it's okay. Sometimes there is contact in this game, right? But when you have players that are untouchable, we've seen Steph Curry do this. Shai is doing this all the time. Jalen Brunson does it all of the time. And it's getting especially bad. When you have a play like what we just saw with Jalen Brunson, I mean, this is when you've hit peak absurdity. Let's look at this one more time, because this is, Shai's is bad, but this one is egregious. So we just have Jalen Brunson going by, and look at him. If the basket is right in front of you, you are not going to go, your body's not going to start moving towards the sideline. And there he takes a step and he does as much as he can to try to get Andrew Nembhard to touch him. And he's only doing this because Andrew Nembhard is trying to guard him. So this makes him, in a way, unguardable, because if a player is going to be able to throw themselves into you and get a foul, what can you do as a defender? These, especially the guards, these players are already good enough as it is. They're already fast enough. They're quick enough. They're crafty enough. They shouldn't have the extra help of the referees. With Steph Curry, we see this over and over again because he makes it, he's constantly looking to initiate contact so that he can get the foul. And if that's the case, then, I mean, he's already, right, the best shooter of all time. But when you can't get close to the best shooter of all time, then it makes him that much better, so much better. And this is significantly changing the game. It's also significantly changing the trajectory of some of these star players who may not be as good if the referees aren't there to help them. And so that's my position, is the referees, this should be the opposite. Not only do you not get the foul call, you are now penalized because you are abusing the system. We've seen this happen over and over again, and this Jalen Brunson example is especially bad.